Now, I am a very forgetful person. Are any of you very forgetful? Let me give you some examples. I can be having a conversation with somebody. Okay, I meet somebody and I say, hey, what's your name? And they're like, Michael. I'm like, hey, Michael, nice to meet you. So where you live? And they tell me, where they live. And I'm like, oh, cool. Well, I'll see you around. And I take a step. What was his name? Like, I can forget your name in the middle of the conversation that we're having. And that has actually happened with many of you. I met you in the back. I was happy that you're here. And then I just forgot. And you do it too, so I don't feel too bad, but I'm sorry. It happens. This happens to me a lot. I'll be sitting in my living room, okay? I'm on the couch. I'm on my phone. Oh, my battery's dying. I'll put my phone down. I'll get up. I'm going to walk into my bedroom to get the charger. I walk into my bedroom. I get in here and I go, what did I come in here for? And then this is weird, okay? I start looking for something that I don't know what I'm looking for. I just hope that I see it and remember, I'm like, what am I looking for? I'm looking for something, and then eventually I give up, right? I walk back into the living room, I sit down, oh yeah, my charger, and then I go back in to get my charger. I'm like, how can I forget? Walking to get it. I just forget things pretty easy sometimes. I think it's pretty stupid, but I do. You've probably all had that moment when you walk into class and the teacher says, all right, turn in your homework, and you're like, oh. It's not that I don't want to do my work. I just forgot, okay? I didn't even remember. I got home and I was watching TV and I just forgot, okay? I'm sorry, I forgot. We all have those moments you just forget. Your mom said, hey, you need to do this before tomorrow. Okay, I'll take care of it. Tomorrow she goes, why didn't you do this? You're like, don't ground me. Okay, it was an accident. I was going to do it. I just forgot. I promise. I'm going to do it right now. Right now. I'm going to go do it, okay? And you just forget. I'm really this way. I forget a lot. Now, I have a lot of things I do to remember, okay? I have an app on my phone that sends me notifications to remember to do things. I have a calendar, right? And one of my favorite things are these guys. Sticky notes, okay? And I got the cool kind so I can do this, okay? But the sticky notes are amazing because you can write a note and then stick it somewhere, okay? Just that's what I love. So I will put this on my computer screen sometimes. I'll put it on my phone so when I get up in the morning I'll see it. I'll put it on my mirror in front of where I brush my teeth, okay? Since I regularly do that, I'll see it. What I like to do is, I hope you regularly do that. What I like to do is I put it on the door, right above the doorknob where I'm leaving my house. And it says, don't forget to get this. I'm like, oh yeah. And I go back. So these are lifesavers to me. There's something to help me remember something. Because sometimes when you forget something, it really costs you a lot. Or, you get in trouble or that kind of stuff. And you want to remember important things. And we're going to look at something. If you brought your Bible, turn to Proverbs 3. Proverbs 3, or click, Hopefully you can turn, that's better. But Proverbs 3, if you're going to click, you might as well just look on the screen. So, but Proverbs 3, we're going to look at this passage. And what's interesting is it's like a dad talking to his son, okay, when it's also for us. But it specifically is a dad. His name was Solomon. He was writing to his son. And look at what he says. He says what your parents would probably say to you, okay? He says, my son, do not forget my teaching. In other words, okay, I know I'm going to tell you, and you're going to forget, because you always forget, okay? But this thing I'm going to tell you, please don't forget it, okay? Don't forget my teaching. Don't forget this thing, okay? But keep my commands on your heart. And then he says, for they will prolong your life many years and bring you prosperity. Prosperity is good things, right? It could be money. Could be great relationships. It could be just good, okay? A good life. He says, if you remember these things and don't forget, maybe you need to get a sticky note and remember them, okay? But he says, if you can remember these things and not forget them, they'll bring you many years and prosperity, which we would all be like, that's good. So then what he does is he goes and does a whole bunch of different things. And if you're wanting to know what we're going to do the next few weeks, we're going to go through some of these different things. We're going to look at one tonight, the first one, since that makes sense. And we're going to look at the first one that he talked about. And all of these things will help you in your life to have a better life, pretty much. So we're going to look at the first one, and we're actually going to look at the result of doing it. Like he says, if you remember to do this, this will happen. So let me show you what will happen first, okay? If you do this, he says, then you will win favor and a good name in the sight of God and man. First he says you'll win favor. Somebody say favor. Favor. Okay, favor. Yeah. He says you'll win favor. So let me give you an example. Do you know somebody that's like the teacher's favorite, right? Do you have somebody, you know who that is in your class? You're like, oh man, they're their favorite. They don't like me, okay? And some of you are that person and it's awesome. And some of you hate that person, okay? But you know that person is the teacher's favorite. Now, if you take a look, this is my senior yearbook from 2003, okay? So this is my senior yearbook. And if you turn right in here, there's like this pages that has most likely to succeed, best smile, best personality, most change, this kind of biggest flirt is in here, okay? And then I'm one of these. Can you guess which one I am?
Teacher's pet.
Teacher's pet. I can't hold it up for you to see, so I blew it up for the TV, okay? That's me. We wore these like goofy rock necklaces back then, so I don't know if they come back ever, probably never. But anyway, so I was teacher's pet, Jonathan Hill, there it is. Because everybody knew that I had favor with the teachers. One time they were coming in, we had an assignment due, and a few of the people in the class come up to me and say, hey, we need you to ask to turn in the assignment tomorrow. And I was like, why? I did it. And it's like, but we didn't. I was like, well, why don't y'all ask? Because if you ask, she'll say yes. And if we ask, she'll say no. And so I was like, well, okay. Like, because I ask sometimes to turn my paper in the next day. They're like, okay, fine. Some of you are like, I hate you, okay? One time, this is for real. I was taking my test. It was in Spanish 1. And it was a multiple choice. And I circled A. And I'm going through. And the teacher is like, you know, like sometimes go up and down the aisles. And she's walking past my desk. And she stops. And she goes, and touches it. And I'm like, I erase, and I start to circle B. She goes, I circle C. She goes, and then she walks on. I'm like, all right. I didn't see her do that for anybody else in the class, just me. So for some reason, teachers liked me. And here's what I had. I had favor, and a favor is nice. When people like you and you have favor with people, it is a good thing. When you have favor with like, friends and stuff. Now, you probably have a best friend. You might have a best friend. Some of you are with your best friend. Oh, yeah. Here's another way of saying that. Your favorite friend, okay? The one that you have the most favor with is your best friend, okay? I mean, you all have maybe multiple friends. I mean, hopefully you have lots of friends. And you have some friends that they have a lot of favor with you. In other words, you would do stuff for them, right? You would fight for them. People are talking bad about them. You would fight, you know. And this is how you feel when they come in the room, right? So they come in the room and you're like, oh, they're here. And don't certain friends just make you feel like this? Some of you want to sing right now, don't you? You've got a friend. Oh, they are going to sing. So we'll just let it finish out. So you have some friends that when they come in, you're like, oh, I'm happy that they're here. They make me feel good. Just their face makes their smile or whatever. Okay. So, and for these friends, if somebody's talking bad about them, you're going to stop them. If they're going through a bad day, you don't just ignore it, right? You find out what's wrong. You try to help them through it. Whatever. So you do that kind of stuff for them. Now, here's what I know also. You want people that do that for you, right? I mean, you want somebody that if people are talking bad about you, they're like, oh, you ain't talking about my friend, okay? I'm going to stop. If somebody's kind of like being mean to you, they're going to step up, right? And they're going to be like, no, you're going to stop because I'm going to smack your face, okay? And you want those friends, right? You want friends that when you walk in the room, they're glad you're there. You want people that are that way. You walk in, they're like, yes, they're here. Now, I also know that there are people in your life that just their presence, like you hear their name, and you're like, and then they start to talk, and you're just like, it sounds like, you know, on the chalkboard, just their very voice, and you see they come over to start hanging out with you and your friends, and you're like, I don't like you. You are a jerk. You are mean. You're kind of ugly. I don't want anything to do with you. And then you start daydreaming things, right? You're like, boy, I wish I could just like punch him in the throat, you know, like just punch him right in the throat, right? Or, you know, kick him in the shin or something like that. You got all those things. So that's the end of that. So hopefully you're not actually thinking about punching people in the throat. But there are people that you see them and you wish they weren't around, right? They have no favor with you. Now let me make it uncomfortable in the room. There are people maybe that when you walk in the room are like, man, why are they here? Maybe. Okay, some of you have a teacher, and when you come in the classroom, they're like, oh, I would like teaching if they were not in my class, okay? I cannot stand them in here because of some stuff that you do. For some of you, there are maybe a group of people that you have, for whatever reason, you have no favor with them, and they're like, ugh, okay? There is a teacher, there is a boss, there is somebody, and they hear Jaws when you walk into the room, and your teacher daydreams of punching you in the throat, okay? But, maybe that is possible, but what we want is for people to see us coming in and we have favor with them. Everybody wants that. I mean, whether you're a Christian or not a Christian, you want favor with people. Now, he goes, that's not the end. He says you have favor, something we all want, and a good name, a good name. So when you hear somebody's name, you think of something. So I'm going to say some names. You just say the first thing that comes to your head. Einstein. Smart, okay. Tim Hawkins. Some of you, who is that? Okay, it's funny, right, he's a comedian. George Washington. President. Yeah, president. Michael Phelps. Swears. What? Fast, USA. Okay, yeah, swimming. Osama bin Laden. No. Just no. No. Okay, one more, Hitler. Okay, so those were pretty extremes of people. When I was in high school, there were people that you say their name and something would come to your head. One girl's name was Lacey. If I heard Lacey, I thought smart, because she was like valedictorian, all that, super, super smart. If you needed to know how to do like a math problem, she could do it. She's just super smart. There was a girl named Ashley. She was the third in the state for powerlifting. Like, you knew she could beat you up if she just even like with her finger, okay? She was so strong and big. And so just when you said her name, that is what popped into my mind. Tanner was funny. Tanner was a guy, he just always was doing something stupid, okay? I mean, he'd run into a locker if it would make somebody laugh. Just, okay, just anything for a laugh. There was a guy, Russell, he was in my first class. His breath was so bad in the morning, like skunks would cry if they got near him, okay? It was nasty, and I had to sit next to him, and I was like, oh, and he heard his name, that's what I thought. There was a guy named Steven. He was known as the pothead of the school, okay? Like, everyone knew. We were one time in my history class, they were gonna have a special thing on Friday. She says, everybody can bring snacks. Steven, you can't bring brownies, because we don't want your brownies, okay? She literally, like, anyways, you don't get that, that's fine. So, there was another girl, I would say when I thought of her name, I would think Moody, but she only had one mood, and it was not good, okay? So, this different people, and there are people, when you say their name, something comes to your mind, right? You say different people's names, something comes to mind. Now, I don't know if you've thought about this, but when your name comes to some people's mind, something comes in with it. They either think, wow, really nice, really kind, fun to be around, jerk, mean, always putting people down, Christian, okay, hopefully. So there's different things that people are going to think in their mind. You either have a good name or a bad name. People either think good things or they think bad things. There are friends of yours that think good or bad. Well, I can't really tell them anything because they'll just tell everybody else. Some of you have teachers that I don't know if you've ever thought about this. You know how a teacher will sit there and they're grading a paper, okay? They're grading your paper. And you have a question that could go either way. It's kind of right, kind of wrong. They can mark it right, they can mark it wrong. And then they think of who you are. Now, in that moment, you want them to go, oh yeah, she's really nice. Oh, he's really nice. He pays attention. You want your name to be good in that moment, because they can go yes, they can go no. So it's going to be based on your name. See, we all want to have a good name. We all want to have favor. You want to have favor with your parents. You want to have a good name with your friends, right? And this is kind of a universal thing. All of us want this, and especially when it comes to man. Now, we also hopefully want a good name with God and favor with God. Now, God doesn't have favorites. He doesn't like, well, I like her more, okay? It's not like that. But not everybody experiences God's favor. In other words, God wants to put blessings in your life, but you only receive those when you're living in obedience and doing what he said. So we want to win favor. We want to have a good name. Everybody wants that. Whether you're a Christian or not, you want to have a good name and you want to have favor. So how does it happen? There's something we cannot forget. And he tells us in verse 3. We looked at verse 4. We're going to go back to verse 3. Let love and faithfulness never leave you. Let love and faithfulness never leave you. Now, this word love does not mean like, oh, I love you. Oh, it's not like, your heart's like pounding when you see that person. Okay, it's not that kind of love. This, if some of your translations may actually say kindness, because what it means is kindness. It's a love kind of kindness. It's doing kind things for somebody. So it says, let love or kindness never leave you. So kindness, that's like being considerate of people. That's like seeing somebody has a need and helping them with it. You know what kindness is. Okay, I don't really think I need to go there. So, and this is what's important. He says, let it never leave you, because some of you are kind some of the time, okay? You're kind and then you're not. Like you're hanging out with your friends and you're all good, then you come home and your mom says, hey, could you help me with this? No, I'm not gonna, okay, it's just, your mom's like, okay, all right, fine, all right, whatever, all right? And you have no favor with your mom and you don't understand why. And here's the thing, we're kind with some people and then we're not with others. And we're kind with this group and then we're not with this group. But if you want the favor and the good name, you cannot pick and choose who to be kind to. You think, well, I'm going to be kind to them because they're who I want to have a good name with and favor with, and I'm not going to be kind to them because I don't like them. That's not how this principle works. See, while you can be kind to these people and they will like you, you're going to limit this. It is kind always. You have to never let it leave you. Think of it like this, okay? This is how I think. I'm hanging out, let's say, with my friends, and this guy is being a jerk to these other people. But he's being nice to me. Do you know what I know about that person then? If I ever do something wrong, I'm going to be the receiving end of that being the jerk. I want to be friends with people that are kind to people they don't like. Because then if I ever make a mistake, guess what they're going to be to me? Kind. And those people get a good name, and those people get extra favor, because it's just a natural way things work. We cannot pick and choose. We have to be kind to everyone. It can never let it leave you. That means when somebody's a jerk to you, you don't let it leave you. You're still kind. That means that when it's somebody you just cannot, you're hearing the Jaws theme in your head, but you are still kind. You never let it leave you. Now, kindness, I think we get. The word faithfulness, the next one, is a little bit more unusual. You don't usually go around being like, oh, you're my most faithful friend. I mean, maybe you do, but most people don't talk that way. Faithfulness, kind of a friend. So let me give you some other words to think of when you think of faithfulness. Okay, faithfulness is worthy of trust, reliable, or consistent. Worthy of trust, reliable, or consistent. Let me give you an example. How many of you like roller coasters? Anybody? Okay. What is your favorite ride at Six Flags? Just tell me. Mr. Freeze. I heard Titan and Mr. Freeze. Okay, so I'll go with Mr. Freeze since that was my first real roller coaster to ever ride. What if you went to Six Flags and when only half of the people that rode Mr. Freeze lived every ride, okay? So it goes back, goes up, and half of them fall out, and half of them come back. Every time. Now, some of you are like, oh, do it. No, you wouldn't, okay? Because you're like, I know I'm going to die, okay? In fact, if one person every time died, I would not do it, okay? It's like every time, I wonder who's going to be this time. No, you wouldn't do it, okay? For me, if one a day died, I wouldn't do it, okay? I mean, if it was just like a regular thing, why? Because a roller coaster needs to be reliable and it needs to be consistent in order to be worthy of trust, to be a faithful roller coaster. Now, some of you do not understand why your parents don't trust you when you say, hey, I'm going to go to this person's house and this is what we're going to do. And they say, I don't think so. I don't trust you. And you go, I don't understand that. It is because sometime in your past you have not been consistent or reliable. You know how many times you have to tell a lie to a teacher or a parent to lose trust? Once. And that's a difficult thing. And it takes, the only way to get faithfulness, to get trust back, is to be reliable and consistent for a long period of time. You have to show that you're worthy of trust over and over and over and over and slowly build it back. to do that. And so sometimes we're like, well, how come, man, I told them I'm going to do it. I really am this time. I'm going to do what they said, but you don't have any favor. Why? Because you weren't faithful in your past. You weren't reliable. You weren't consistent. You weren't worthy of trust in your past. Now, the good thing is you can change that. If people look at you and they think, I can't trust them, they're not faithful, they're not consistent, you can change that. And it may take some time to build favor, but you can change that by making a decision that I am going to be a kind person and I'm going to be a faithful person. I'm going to be a person that is worthy of trust. So let me make it sticky note version, okay, so that you can take it home. In fact, when you leave, we're going to give you all a sticky note, okay, that you can put somewhere that says what I'm about to put on the screen, okay? And it says this: always be kind and worthy of trust. Always be kind and worthy of trust. How often should you be kind and worthy of trust? Always. In other words, if you want this principle to work in your life, that you're going to build favor and a good name, you've got to always, for every person, be kind and worthy of trust. Now, I'm not saying we're all perfect, and if I'm not perfect, then I'm never going to have these things. Sure, but we are always trying to be kind to people. We are always being worthy of trust. With the people you sit down with lunch with, the people that you would never sit down with lunch with, we're kind to them. And we're faithful. We even are reliable and consistent in the way we act with them, with your teachers, with your boss, if you have one, with your parents, with your brother and sister, with everyone that we encounter. We have to be kind and worthy of trust. And what will happen is we will begin to build relationships that are so much better. Let me just say, let you think about this. I've had many friends over my life. The ones that did this were deep relationships and very close relationships. Do you understand what I mean by deep? As in, I knew a lot about them, they knew a lot about me. We had very meaningful relationships. The people that were not these things, they may have been my friends, but we never got close. Because it would be like this. Well, he's always funny. I like him. I hang out with him, but he always is funny at everybody else's expense. Not very kind. If he's going to get a laugh, he'll say it. So I can't tell him anything personal because I don't want it to be the butt of the next joke, right? And so our relationship, our friendship could only go so far. Never could get very deep because there was no kindness there. I've had friends that would say they're going to do this. They say, I'm going to do this. Okay, I'll be there. I'll do this. I'll do this. And then they don't. They were not worthy of trust. They were not faithful friends. And they were friends, but it never went very deep. Just shallow friendship. Never got very close. You can begin to develop close friendships if you'll do this. You can begin to get favor with teachers. I mean, maybe they won't be telling you when you get the wrong answer on the test. I'm not promising that. But you will begin to get favor with people in your life. And it is a great thing. But I wanted you to think about this last. If you're a Christian, these are not even really like optional. These are things Jesus said to do. Jesus said love. Jesus said to be trustworthy, to be kind, to be these things. Can you imagine if every Christian, everybody that said, I'm a Christian, did these things? Do you know what people would say in the world? There'd be people that were not Christians. They might say, well, I don't know if I believe in Jesus or anything, but Christians are nice. I don't know if I want to go to church. I don't know if I want to believe in God, but man, you can trust a Christian. I like to be friends with Christians. I don't know if I believe in Jesus, but man, I want to be with his people. If we would be this, it would change the world. We're supposed to be this. Not only would it change the world, it's going to change you. It's going to change your life. It's going to change your relationships. We're going to end with prayer like we usually do. And if this is something you need to start doing, I want to encourage you to pray with somebody to make it solid in your heart. And just say, hey, I need to start being more kind. Maybe to a specific person. I need to be more worthy of trust. And, if it's not this, maybe you've got something else going on, something going on at school, something going on at home that you want prayer for. At the back of the room in just a moment, there'll be just people standing there that are there to pray with you. And so we're going to all, in just a moment, stand and sing a song. And during that time, if you need prayer, just walk to the back, and there will be people there for you. Let's all pray together. Father God, I just thank you that you teach us things so that we can be prosperous, so that we can have a full and good life. I pray that we would all learn to be kind, to be worthy of trust, to be faithful. That we can develop favor with people and with you. We thank you for it in Jesus' name. Amen.